Hey, how's it going? We're here doing our monthly Q&A. I'm John Weber, Bike's online editor. This is Nicole, managing editor, Anthony, photo editor, and Ryan Palmer, our gear editor. So we're going to kick stuff off today with a question we had from last week that we didn't get to. But if you've got a question, just put it in the comments, and we'll try and answer to it. So Scott Meltzer asked, why has the Buzz photo section in the magazine not just been renamed British Columbia? Which I think is a criticism we get.
Often,
yeah.
Often. I mean, yeah, I can understand it. It's like, if you look at surfing, there's too many photos from California. There's too many photos from Hawaii. I mean, if pro athletes and pro photographers live in kind of a epicenter, I mean, that's where a lot of the great content's going to come from. But we have our November issue here. And we really do try and make an effort to...
Yeah, we think about it. It's not like we try to diversify and cover different regions depending on the images we're getting in.
But if we look at November here, we have Utah, Italy, South Africa, Switzerland, Bend, Oregon.
BC free.
Back to Italy.
BC free.
So
BC free.
For the November issue, it shall now be referred to as Italy,
And
not Buzz.
The cover is not BC
Oh, yeah.
either.
Hawaii.
There we go.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things. We have so many of our top contributors kind of based in that area of the world. So many of the athletes are based up there, and if they're not based there, that's a destination place for them to go and film, shoot photos, or just be there to ride because the terrain is so amazing. So
Yeah, I mean,
The majority
BC
is coming from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's mountain biking all over the world, and it's great all over the world. But BC is sort of the undisputed epicenter of mountain biking, sort of at this point. I mean,
yeah. So
even though
noted.
California and
We try.
Noted.
We try. We're playing a numbers game here.
All right. Michael, who also lives here in Southern California, asked a question about tire selection. He says, we're at the end of a long dry season, or drought,
AKA
drought.
yeah.
And the trails up here are really washed out, and he's having a little issue with tire selection.
Ooh, can I answer this?
Can I answer it?
Yeah,
I think
he's currently running a Kenda Small Block 8 in the rear and a Continental Mountain King in the front, but he's getting a little instability.
That's your problem
Any
right there,
suggestions?
Michael.
Michael's not going to like my answer. I don't think Michael likes to run the same tires as I do. Because I'm mostly on a 6-inch bike, but on my Editor's Choice Dream Build, that issue is going to be hitting newsstands on the 25th of November. I've got the Onza Sidious tires, and they're just awesome in these dry conditions. I mean, I'm riding down here in Southern California as well, close to the office, in Laguna Beach, places like that, and I've been really impressed with those tires. I think they're kind of shocking. You know, I'll admit I kind of go to for Maxxis tires.
Yeah.
But these tires have just been so good in the drought conditions. So
What would you say based on what he's running?
Yeah.
What do you think he needs to maybe?
Well, if you're looking for like kind of
He's on
rolling,
an XC bike. He's on a Cannondale Black Ink. He didn't say which Black Ink, but probably either Scalpel or
right? Yeah.
Hardtail.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because if you're running XC tires that are lightweight, then you're going to be sacrificing traction. Like if you're prioritizing speed and weight, then you're not going to be able to get maximum grip. So if you really want the grip, you can get that. It's gonna be a little heavier probably. Like, I mean, one of my favorite tires is the Minion DHF Max Grip, which is probably a 900 gram tire, but it's got super soft rubber and it's
grips on anything.
Maximum
Yeah.
grip.
But a lot of the Bontrager tires that are out there right now, I find they've got a really low profile pattern and they roll fast, but they also grip really, really well. I don't know. I think we all like those tires around here.
Yeah, the XR4 and the SE4 if you want, if you need a little bit more protection on the casing.
Yeah.
Those two tires
Great
are
options.
really
Nice
good
balance.
as well.
Yeah.
And the Aggressor, the Maxxis Aggressor,
I like that Aggressor.
is really fast rolling for the amount of grip and it is also like a more trail all mountain tire, but for what it is, it's very fast rolling.
Yeah, it was on that. I think it was on the Scott Spark we tested at the Bible. The women tested, and that's kind of an XC trail sort of blurred line bike.
Yeah.
So they weren't obviously going for the heaviest, but I felt like that. I really was impressed with that tire.
I rode that tire in the BC Bike Race and the Single Track 6. So two kind of cross-country type stage races.
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm talking about the Forecaster.
You're talking about the
Sorry.
Forecaster, which I was also going to mention because maybe we're giving him too many options here. But the Forecaster is a new tire from Maxxis that rips.
Yeah, I really liked that tire.
It's a lightweight,
Yeah.
850 gram sort of deal. I'm totally just making that number up, but it's like it's a pretty lightweight, more like lighter duty
Yeah.
tire that will work in many conditions. It's got like sort of wider spacing, but pretty good cornering knobs. That's a good option for if you're looking for a pretty lightweight tire, not full on race, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you
like
still
that
want to
one.
keep the weight down and like have your acceleration maintained. That's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was helpful, Michael.
All right.
Probably not.
We're all over the board.
Really.
How about this one? A little more controversial. Ciaran asked, "How do you get more people into local bike shops?" I think that's a pretty relevant one. We just came off of Bible, and we were all kind of blown away by like the value on offer with those YT bikes, some of the consumer direct options.
I think it's customer service. It's being a hub, like a sense of community. I think there's so many shops that are really building that sense of community and friends, and it's a meeting point, and it's a place you want to be. Maybe it's a good thing. The cream
Weed
is
out
gonna rise to the top.
Yeah, making the shop the brand, not the brands you carry in the shop. But
Yeah.
one that there are probably a lot like this, but just pops into my mind is that the Hub Cyclery up in Idlewild. I mean, this is like a small little town in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you have to drive to get up there. There's some good trails, but they do so many cool, like, overnight bike packing trips. Topanga Creek is the same way
Yep,
with
absolutely.
their Unpredict Your Wednesday. Like, they're doing these events that are really branding the shop, and I think that's what's going to get people coming back and interested, and
Being
having a
advocates for
social
the
media.
sport, not just like trying to
Yeah.
get rid of inventory, but
Yeah.
Totally.
being there to be a community driver.
Yeah.
Trying to being an advocate for trail access if that's an issue in your area. I think that's really important for shops. Like we can get more and more things online for cheaper and cheaper. So it's really people will buy stuff from your shop if you offer great service, great advice. Like, I mean, bikes are getting more and more confusing. Like right now we've got so many different options.
Totally.
And you can really get like confused. Like, I mean, what do I even get? Do I get Plus? Do I get 29 or do I get
It's overwhelming.
27.5?
Yeah.
What travel do I get? Well, it can be very overwhelming. So I think shops who are really educated, they ride a lot of bikes and they do their research and they can offer great advice. Those are going to be more and more valuable moving forward.
Yeah.
And being willing to work on, from a service perspective, like things that come into the shop that weren't necessarily, I feel like that's how you get a customer, is if they bring some clapped out bike in there with a flat tire or something, like being open to working on all kinds of things and being friendly about it, I think is a big thing too.
Not vibing people who come in with an old bike or anything. Just,
Right,
mean,
so they
that's
want to come back.
being cool,
and
That's the worst, when you're made to feel unwelcome.
Totally.
That happened to me recently at a local shop.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, dude. I just want to buy something from your store.
Yeah. I know.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. How about this one? If you're not going to the shop and you're going to pack your bike on your own, what are some key tips for doing it?
For packing your
For
bike.
putting your bike in a box.
Zip ties?
Zip ties. Those are important.
I would say the biggest thing, you don't need as much packing material as you think you do. Is if everything is secured and nothing is moving around. Like if your front wheel is off the bike or both wheels are off the bike, you put material in between the wheel and the frame to insulate it, and then you zip tie everything together so nothing can like be shifting around in the box. And if you do that, you actually don't have to put a ton of insulation over the tubes and everything. It's just like, I mean, I really end up putting, you know, you can, what we typically use is like pipe insulation you get from Home Depot. They come in like 8-foot lengths or something, and you can cut them up to however you need them. Put that over the fork on the frame where like the front wheel would be hitting it, and then wrap some zip ties around it and make it tight. Same with the handlebars. Take the bars off, put them wherever they fit, and zip tie them in place so they can't knock around while the bike's being transported.
And then I usually take my rotors off too. Do you do that?
I don't.
Am I just
most
wasting
of
my
the
time?
Yeah, I've stopped doing it too, and
Yeah.
it doesn't. I haven't had a catastrophic
Yeah.
experience. Maybe it's a
Go
little-
go to a shop and get the bikes that come from manufacturers. Usually come
Have
with
the
the rotors
protectors,
attached, and they have
yeah.
these big like sort of pie plates
Yeah,
that stick into
that's a
the
good
axle,
idea.
into the hub. And go to a shop and get some of those, and they make big diameter ones that cover over
Yeah.
the disc
That's a
rotor
good
as well.
idea.
And then those are meant to go up against the side of the box, not facing the frame of the bike.
Yeah.
And that way, the axle, you know, if you've got this big pie plate on there, you're not going to have axles like poking through the box, and you know, and then you don't want everything rubbing up against the bike as well. So
Right. If there's space in the box to keep the rear wheel on, you usually recommend just leaving the derailleur in place.
yeah,
Kind of like shift
I
it.
shift it all the way up
Yeah,
into
shift
the
it all
easiest
the way
gear.
up.
Yeah, or I mean, if you're worried about it, just remove it and wrap it
Yep.
and zip tie it to the chainstay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if the chain is flapping around, you don't want it nicking the frame in any way, then you can remove the chain.
Yeah.
If you've got a quick link in the chain, that helps. But that's not. You can also just take the excess chain and just zip tie it to the
Yeah.
chainstay.
Yeah. It's also a good idea to block your brakes, so that your pads.
If
don't
you
get
take
yeah.
your wheels
wheels
off,
off,
then
yeah.
put a pad spacer in there, which doesn't have to be a legit pad spacer. You can take like a piece of cardboard and fold it
Yeah.
and jam it in
Yeah.
there, as long as something's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This next one should be pretty quick. Andrew asked, dropper posts, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Next question.
No.
Do they
Even on a road
do they
bike.
still make fixed posts?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware.
I think we're still like working off the reserve that was just previously in the market.
If
Yeah.
he's,
Not making
I
new
wonder
ones.
if he has a dropper post.
I didn't know people
I
didn't
think if
have
he's
dropper
asking,
posts.
probably not.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
get
know that.
one.
Life changing.
Life changing. It's like riding without suspension, or
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't
I
even
can't-
pull
I
into
could-
like a parking lot without dropping.
I couldn't ride a bike without a dropper
I
post.
know.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually do believe it's a safer way of riding a bike.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
And yeah, if you haven't tried it, you definitely should.
I mean, the weight.
Do
argument,
not even don't
Yeah.
even consider it.
It's
Yeah.
not even there. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it weighs extra.
We're even now, like on the XC World Cup circuit, people
Mm-hmm.
are riding droppers.
Yeah, the benefit that it gives you is so much more
Yeah.
valuable than the weight.
If you've got a
that it
light bike
costs.
that you can't actually mountain bike with, then well, game over.
yeah, then get a road bike and ride. it.
Yeah.
And if you are really super worried about weight, there are lighter options. Like
Yeah.
there are
There
those
are,
KS, posts
makes
that
that,
are like 60 mil drop or
27.2.
whatever.
Yeah, they make a
Yeah.
carbon. It's like the outer post part is carbon, and they make like a 65 millimeter drop or something for XC, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
and that's definitely a lighter weight option for sure.
Yeah.
65.
Right?
Cray cray.
Mine's a 170. I have a 175.
You have like double, more than double, 2.5 times.
I have my commuter bike up there hanging on the rafters has a dropper post on it.
Yeah, I went on my first road ride in a long time last weekend, and we were on a pretty steep road, and I wanted a dropper so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yes.
yes.
All right.
Do we have any coming in?
Got a few coming in. Let's see.
What do you think of the new Giro Switchblade? You've ridden that, haven't you?
Yeah, I rode
Yeah,
the
Giro
Switchblade. Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think it. Honestly, I feel like it's very targeted. It's very niche
Yeah.
for enduro racing. For that, I think it's awesome. But I mean, it has the ear flaps, right? When you take the chin bar off, it has these ear flaps that look like a sort of old school moto helmet. And while it is very well ventilated, you do feel air flowing over your ears and stuff. Like, I mean, it's gonna be hotter, and you can't hear quite as well if they weren't there. So I don't feel like it's a everyday trail bike sort of helmet that it's gonna be your one and only helmet. But like, I mean, if I raced enduro, I would use it on every single enduro race. So if you're gonna race the circuit,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's lightweight. It's pretty cool looking, and it's got good features. It fits well. I think it's a really well made helmet. But yeah, it is, and it's actually, once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to put the chin bar
Remove
on
the-
and
yeah.
take it off without needing to take the helmet off.
Yeah. When we were in Whistler during Crankworks, I found myself actually, we rode Top of the World, and I wanted a full face for sort of the top part, but then
Yeah.
you kind of get past that, and it was really hot out, and I don't particularly like wearing a full face, and I was really wishing I had one of that helmet where I could.
I did.
That
Top
was
of the
the
World.
one place where I was like, I see
Yeah.
the need for this, and
Yeah. Yeah, I did Top of the World down to like Tiber and
that's what
down
we did.
to Creekside or whatever it's called. And yeah, I took the chin off maybe, after we got through the really bony, crazy stuff up top and started
Yeah.
getting into the more loam. I took the chin bar off, and it was so much nicer. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool product.
If you're doing the right kind of riding, at least.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely like if you're mainly riding just going out and riding trail.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing a day on our local trails in the heat.
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
No.
definitely
I
not.
think it's like you said, it's targeted.
Yeah, I mean, I went on a road trip this summer around California and Oregon, and I brought that helmet with me, and I didn't wear it a single time. I was
Really?
like, I'm gonna wear it, and then, but it was so hot every day I rode, and I was like, you know what? I couldn't bring myself to it because the terrain I was riding wasn't that technical, and I wasn't like pinning it racing,
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go out there and just like absolutely shred every single time, and you're taking big risks, maybe it is
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Totally.
But for me, yeah, I'm if it's really hot, I'm just gonna like wear the cooler helmet and maybe not give her quite as hard.
Yeah.
All right. How about predictions for 2018 bike trends?
2.6-inch tires
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of emerging already.
and 26 plus.
What are we gonna call those? Not quite plus?
Skinny plus?
Plus minus?
Pudgy?
Pudgy.
Pudgy tires?
So plus
Big
is
bone?
chubby. Those are. What did you say?
Pudgy.
Pudgy. So you got pudgy, chubby, and then fat.
Hopefully fat's, I feel like fat's gonna be just for these very specific uses. Like, the Alaska, what is that race up there?
I did a rod.
But, some kind of just where they make the most sense versus, and,
Yeah.
if
Snow
you
and
want a
desert.
little bit wider and more traction, you'll go with a plus or pudgy.
Yeah. I think we're probably gonna see more e-bikes. Not that we all necessarily need to ride them, but I think it's inevitable that they're gonna continue to be more popular.
Yeah. I agree.
And Plus is kind of leading into that because they're really well suited to Plus. You can carry
E-bikes.
that extra weight. Yeah, you can carry that extra weight, and it's not such a big deal.
More confidence.
More confidence, yeah. This is kind of a piggyback question. Do you feel that the bike industry promotes a materialistic culture and pushes people to live outside their means to keep up with trends?
Interesting.
That is an interesting question.
I'd
I
say.
mean, that's a personal thing, right?
Yeah, it depends
Yeah.
how much you give into it. but,
Right.
I mean, like any industry,
There's progression and there's more product every year. I don't think
Yeah.
it's different from any other industry
Yeah.
in that consumer good industry in that way, where there's always whether or not they're necessary. You know, obviously you can ride whatever bike you have and still have fun.
Yeah.
But I think it just depends on how much you buy into that and your own financial decision making process.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like the current, I don't know, like MacBook Pro is really sweet, but they just released a new one, and
Yeah.
they will release a new one every couple of years, and that's just the way it is. And you know, the bike industry is doing that. And I mean, I think that it's probably it's progressing faster than it ever has
Right.
now.
Yeah,
there's
like mountain
so
biking's
many-
so young that the bikes now are actually a lot better than they were a few years ago. We were
Yeah.
looking through the first Bible bike test, so that was 8 years ago now, and we
Yeah.
had a free ride category in that
Yeah.
issue. And we're looking at these free ride bikes. They're steep angles like some of the trail bikes now, as much travel as the all mountain bikes. But you could-
68 degree head to angles,
And you could
35
never-
pounds.
You
It's
can
like
never ride
XC
uphill
bikes.
on it. It's so, I mean, 8 years down the road, you have these slack bikes that are slack as downhill bikes from that era, but you can pedal them uphill. They're as light as XC bikes from that era. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It
And
kinda-
then
it
the
kinda is
more like
moving
niches
forward.
we make too, the
Yeah.
more ideas we get to make more niches.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
just sort of build, it snowballs. So yeah, I mean,
Feels overwhelming. I could see how it would feel really overwhelming, and you know, if you feel like you have to try to keep up, I mean, I don't know.
The funny thing is, bikes are so good now that there are actually fewer reasons to own more bikes.
more
Right.
than one
You know,
bike.
like it used to be like, you know, you actually could really have a short travel bike and a DH bike, and it made
Yeah.
sense. But now it's like,
You can have one bike, yeah.
right,
Yeah,
everything on the
yeah.
trail
I don't
bike.
see. I mean, I wouldn't recommend. I mean, unless you're like you just like collecting bikes, or you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, geez, you can really get a bike to match your style, whatever sort of.
Don't say it. Quiver killer.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you're not ready to buy a new bike, then don't. Because
Yeah.
bikes, I mean, I'm sure the one you've already got is really super fun to ride. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
for sure.
continue riding that till it's fully clapped out, and then
the-
and then you're guaranteed that whatever you get
Mm-hmm.
when you're ready to buy is going to be sweet.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end
There
of the
are no
day,
more bad
it's
bikes.
the vehicle for adventure. You know, it's just gonna get you out there, and I don't know. If you look at it from that perspective,
Yeah.
ride anything.
I don't think there's any like behind the scenes sort of plotting by the bike industry to bankrupt people, if that's the question. Like, I don't think that's going on.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But they all need to make money.
It would be
somehow.
collusion, and that's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see. What do we think is a realistic minimum amount of travel on a bike to ride it at a bike park?
Hardtail, bro.
Hardtail.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, it depends because so many bike parks have so much variety in the terrain that
Yeah.
they have. So,
Yeah.
a lot of places will have like flow trails that you could potentially ride hardtails on if you're skilled. Or
I find a lot of the young bike parks they start with that flow, like they want to entice all user groups. I mean,
Yeah.
Whistler's so developed and advanced that it has everything, but a lot of the newer bike parks I've gone to really do cater to getting people into the sport. So
Right.
I think you can ride anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
And
I
if you
think-
progress, you may have to progress your bike along with it. But
Yeah.
I mean, don't let whatever bike that you currently own prevent you from going and experiencing bike parks because
Yeah,
they're
that's
really
a good
fun.
point.
And just go and see what you can ride and see what works, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
And just go have fun with it because while it is cheating to take a lift up, it is super fun.
Yeah.
Well, and most bike parks have rentals too that are decent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if you're
you-
really uncomfortable.
If you really wanted to try a big bike and it's rent one for a day and see what it's like.
I mean, I think, our local bike park, Big Bear, is a really good example. They have some really fun terrain for advanced riders, but their green trail is like just this really fun kind of meandering, anybody can ride it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great for families and gets everybody out on the hill.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Should
Let's
do one more?
see. Yeah, one or two more. Did any of us imagine the e-bike craze a few years ago?
Is it a craze?
I don't know if it's a craze.
Well, and I mean, obviously we
craze.
saw it coming.
I went to Eurobike and it was a craze.
Yeah, it's a craze over there. And I think that's why, yes, we've known, I mean, there have been e-bikes in Europe for a long time, and people have taken to it over there in a way different way than they have over here. And so, I mean, if you go to that show, if you go to an international show and you see all the e-bikes, you're sort of like, well, inevitably it's going to make its way over here. But I don't know. I still don't know if it's a craze over here.
I think it's still been pretty slow, especially for catching on with trail riders here.
You see them now and then. Like, I see them out on the trails, but not in any big
it hasn't,
numbers.
like, exploded.
I think
we're creating the craze in a way, because like there's when it's like, oh hey, we're gonna get e-mountain bikes, and everybody's like, wait, whoa, no, don't do that, and we're like sort of making this huge mountain out of really what is at this point just a little molehill.
Yeah.
It's not a very big segment, I don't think, yet, but it probably will be someday.
I wonder if those European-based manufacturers that see a lot of success with that e-bike range over there are a little confused as to why it's not
definitely.
catching
They're like,
on.
why?
Definitely.
Like,
Like, why don't we
what are
see
you
the
doing?
same numbers
Yeah.
over here?
All right, there was one more. There's an opportunity to plug our beer sponsor, asking what our favorite beer was that we drank at Bible
At
this
Bible?
year. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Oh,
good.
somebody asked what our favorite mountain bikes were, and I wanted to plug the Editor's Choice issue, which is coming out.
Okay, so that'll be our next plug.
Yeah, we got to do the plugs now.
Yeah.
Get in a
So
few
was it
plugs.
was it Bike Rack Brewing?
Bike
That's a
Rack
beer
Brewing
sponsor.
in Bentonville.
Yeah.
They're
Somebody
only,
asked if we had
they're only a
beer
couple years
sponsor.
old, but they make some good beers.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
had like a pretty cool sort of Hefeweizen. We had a double IPA. We had an IPA.
They're all
Aren't they
tasty.
the first brewery in Bentonville at 2 years old?
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
craft brewery
Yeah.
in
In
Bentonville.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, those were tasty. I didn't even really
I don't know
which,
what their if they have distribution or what the deal is with that at all. Didn't really research that, but
But if you go to
if you
Bentonville,
go to Bentonville, you can
check
try
it out.
them out.
Yeah.
And they're right next to the Peddler's Pub, which is a pretty cool spot to
yeah,
Hey.
get some pizza and stuff.
yeah. So we had a question about what our favorite bikes are.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Which is exactly what we showcase in our Editor's Choice issue, which comes out next Friday. I should know that off the top of my head.
30th.
Yeah, next Friday.
And so everybody kind of picks a frame and outfits it how they would want to. It's a dream build.
Yeah.
So those will all be in that issue.
I think there's some usual suspects, and I think some bikes that will surprise some readers.
Yeah.
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 It's a pretty good spread this year.
I surprised myself with my pick, actually.
Yeah, I
You
know.
surprised me with your pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of our best yet,
Yeah.
in my humble opinion.
And if folks aren't subscribed, they can get a subscription to the digital version and get that issue. Or
And we'll be rolling them out eventually online.
yep,
Yeah,
for
they'll
sure.
be
They'll be
online.
online probably in December.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us, everybody. If we didn't get to your question, hopefully we'll get to it next time. And we'll see you then.